despite it being a damp and dreary weekend, it's exciting times because the seeds have arrived. Now I'm going to run you through what seeds I've got, particularly some of the more varieties I haven't tried before, and also I'm going to run you through my growing plan and show you how that works and give you a copy so that you can actually use it yourself if you want to. But without further ado, let's have a look at the seeds. So I use two companies really for my seeds. One is Premier Seeds Direct. Now they're a really good company. All their seeds come in, let's empty these out. All their seeds come in these little foil packets, no frills packets. So if you need the sowing information, you're gonna have to look that up. Their website's really good for information on there. For instance, let's have a look. This particular one. So look, Carrot Red Samurai, 600 of those. And let's have a look. It's Red Samurai, 600 seeds. Each one of these packets is about 99p. Each, looking down the price list, pretty much everything is 99p, and you get a good amount of seeds. And there's a whole load, got everything from peas to lettuce to carrots and everything else. The other seed company that I have used, put those to one side, is this one, which is Seeds to Suit, and I'll put a link for both of these down in the bottom. Now, Seeds to Suit, they come in these little, again, no frills, little white packets. Now these are really good company. You don't get as many seeds in the packet here, but for instance, some of these particular seeds were only like 39p, so you tend to get less seeds in the packet, which is ideal for a small allotment where you don't need hundreds and hundreds of seeds. But some of the seeds are from like about 30 pence for a packet of seeds, and you normally get, for most varieties, depending on what it is, obviously things like cucumbers and stuff, you're only going to get about 5 seeds. But for some of the other stuff, you'll get like between 10 and 50 seeds in a packet. So we've got a whole bunch of those from Seeds to Suit. So that's those. Some particular varieties that we've never grown before and we're going to give a go this year. We've got, first of all, we've got this strawberry spinach, and that's like a spinach that's produces a little red berry on it. So apparently the berries are edible as well as the leaves, so we're going to give that a go. New variety tomato that we've got here is Crimson Crush, so we're going to give that one a go. Another tomato that we're going to try is the Indigo Pear Drops. So the Indigo Pear Drops, they are basically, they're like shaped like a sort of pear, and they when they ripen they sort of go yellow, and then they have like a purple crown on top of the fruit. So we're going to give those a go, see what they're like. Right, now you spell it. So this Salutes Celtus, which is basically a celery come lettuce crop. Produces like some sort of long stems with like sort of all the leaves on top. So we're going to have to see those. We've never tried them before. We're going to see what they're like. Important thing about these ones, actually, only which I need to remember, is that they germinate at a really low temperature, like onions would. So between about 4 and 16. Anything above 16, they don't germinate quite so well. So we must remember not to put those in the propagator unit. Squash, we've got a yellow bush scallop squash, which is like the little flat squashes. So we've never tried those. We'll give those a go. We've got here some Romanesco cauliflower. I've never grown those before, and I love the look of them. So going to give those a try this year. Another one where I think I must have missed the memo last year. everybody was growing Tromboncino, but I also didn't get the memo, so I didn't get that. So we're going to give those a try this year. And then a couple of new cucumber varieties. One is Crystal Apple. That's like a tiny small one. And also the other thing that we thought would give it a go, don't know what it will taste like or what it will be, is cucumber melon. A cucumber melon, I think is how you say it. Excuse the pronunciation if that's not quite right. Which is a sort of cross between a cucumber and a melon, as the name would suggest. So we're going to give those a try as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sort of, if you like, trial things that we've never tried before. Pretty much everything else on this pile is sort of almost tried and tested stuff. There's some iceberg lettuce, there's some loose leaf lettuce in there. There's some normal spinach, a few sweet peas, a few flowers in there as well, some cosmos and sweet peas, normal bulk hardy beetroots. There's also some cylindra beetroot, which are sort of a little bit longer style ones. What else have we got in here? Parsnips, some of the ones we've got from Seeds to Sow, the swede, some more cabbage there, some dahlia lists. The other thing that we're going to do is in here somewhere, in amongst all this massive herbs and flowers and everything else, is some chili pepper seeds. Never really grown a lot of chili peppers before, so any tips and tricks there? We'll get those started this week in the propagator. As I say, not really ever really grown chilies before to any extent, so we're going to give that a go this year and see how we get on. So I'm going to sort all these out. Going to put these into my organiser. A lot of people have been using these lately. You can get them on Amazon. They're about sort of, I guess, one of these boxes is normally about 20-25 quid, I think. You might be able to pick it up cheaper. They're advertised as photo boxes, 6x4 photo boxes, but they're ideal for going down to Allotment, because if I want to go down there, I can say, well, actually, I want the carrots and the parsnips, and I want to do some radish, and then I can just take those 2 boxes down to the Allotment with me to actually do, and it keeps them nice, everything nice and organised and sorted out. So I've got a couple of those, so I'll be getting all these seeds into those boxes and getting organised and putting it on my grow plan, which I'll run you through. Now, the other thing I'll just mention is that obviously a lot of these seeds don't have any information, no information packets on there. Now the websites, both the Premier Seeds Direct and the Sow to Suit, have lots of information on their websites, which is very good in terms of growing times and everything else. But my go-to guide always is the RHS Veg Patch book. It's what I use as a reference day to day. So it's got, in the front of the book, it's got a little bit of blurb about setting up and feeding and beds and family plots and how to organise. But by the time you get to page 50, we're straight into the guides. Each one of these guides has some of the different varieties. This one I'll be referring to peppers and chilies and aubergines, and for instance like peas. And in there it's got a full list of, it's got the standard growing chart that you'd normally see where it's sow, plant, harvest, and then all different things about getting started, sowing undercover, sowing outdoors, routine care and harvesting, and it goes through all the different crops. So step-by-step veg patch, that is my normal go-to book when I want to know what to do, when to plant stuff, or I can't remember quite when I put stuff in. Either that or refer to my diary that I keep when I put in stuff before. But with the seasons changing so much lately, I'm getting the feeling that actually what I'm going to try and do with all of these plants is do a lot more of sort of sowing in different weeks. So sow one set, leave it a couple of weeks to sow another set, and sow another set, just so that if we get any extreme weather and everything else, all the plants aren't at the same level of development. So they'll hopefully, if some succumb to pests or frost or anything else, the others will be fine. So without further ado, I'm going to take you over to the computer and I'll show you the growing plan and how you can use that. Okay, here we are in my grow plan that I'm just starting to put together, and I'll run you through how it actually works. So first thing you need to do is on the areas tab is fill in all the different growing areas that you've got, beds 1 to 6 I've got here, and various different things, polytunnel left, right, pots, and various different things. So that's just fill in all of those down there. Then the second part is all the plants. Now put the main plant in this column and also in the variety that you want, and then you can put in the, if you want, the grow time and the sow time, which will be used for later, and then any notes you've got. These two columns you can leave as they are, because they've got a formula in there to actually give you the combined total of the plant and variety. And then this is in plan, and I'll come back to that later on and explain what that is. So once you've got all your plants in and your areas, you can go over to the plan. So I'll start putting some stuff into here, and I'll share this copy that I want to do. So for instance, let's put in some new details. So let's put in, say, in bed 5, I want to put in some, let's have a look, some Eskimo carrots. Now it says that this is pulled across from the plants tab, so it says the March to June, and the grow time is normally 70 to 80. And then you can select whether you've got the seed for them, which I have, and when they're sown in the ground. So before we do that, you'll notice that there's a blue thing here, so you can put in your last frost date, which is for me the end of April, or you can put in here whichever column you want to use. It's just there so that you can have a good indication of when your last frost dates are, so when you're doing your plan you know when to put stuff in. So I think, so from March through to June I can plant these. So I'm going to say, well, actually, let's say the go through, let's start from March, and then what you do to get these colours in there, you notice up here they've got like highlighted I for indoor sowing, O for outdoor sowing, P for planting out, G for growing in bed, and H for harvest. So you just go down to the block that you want, and I will outdoor sow those throughout this period. And then I'm thinking, well, when will they harvest? And if I take a guess, I think they'll probably be ready in September. So I'll put H in there. What the spreadsheet will do is it will calculate from the first indoor or outdoor sowing box through to the harvest, how many days have elapsed. So there's like sort of 15 days in each one of these, because it's 2 boxes for each month, beginning of the month, end of the month. So it said that's 180 days between the first sowings and the second and the harvest. So I can see from that, actually, the beginning of the harvest is probably, that's still 120 days, that's 105 days, so put H in there, and so about 90 days there. So that's probably where we want to be. So then if we're growing over 4 weeks, so we've put them in for 4 weeks there, and we'll be growing, and we'll probably end up harvesting later on as well. And then what I normally do is fill in the gap in between with a G, just to say that it's growing in the bed. And then, for instance, I can sort of say bed 5 as well. I want to put in some, let's have a look. I'm going to have some potatoes in there. So it says late March. I haven't got the potatoes yet, on their way. So late March, we want to put those in. So we're going to outdoor sow those. We're not necessarily going to stagger them. So 90 days later would be, to 120 days later, be about there. Good guess by me. So you can see that's 105 days. So we might want to sort of start harvesting them from that point onwards. And then you can just put your G's in there to actually say they're growing in your bed. So once you actually have done that, you can actually then see, you can filter this to say, well, actually, I'm only interested in bed 5. So I can see what bed 5 is, and I can now see that actually bed 5 is going to become available around July, August time for some succession sowing. So select all those. You can also do a sort of filter on here to say, well, actually in March, I want to know everything where needs indoor outdoor sowing. So I can look at here and say, well, actually look, all these varieties, so potatoes, carrots, small potatoes, some leeks, some beetroot, cauliflower and carrots, and the bed that they're going to go into needs harvesting at that point. And also it will give you an overview of, for instance, I put in some of this stuff for my garlic in bed 4 here that went in, and sow to harvest is about 210 days, and they should be ready sort of between May and June, and these later ones up to July, beginning of August sort of time. And that gives me the view that actually bed 4 will start becoming available around this sort of time. So I need to be putting some plants in around June, July, to succession sow. So as these go to maturity, these ones are growing on into later in the season. So that's what I'll be using for my planning this year. One point to note is that if you want to add stuff, you can just add stuff to the bottom, and then you can always sort it at the top here. If you do end up, for instance, like putting something in here and saying, oh, well, I want to insert a row below that, what you will find is if you put bed 5 and you put like another set of Eskimo carrots in there, it won't have populated this, because when you insert a row, it doesn't drop the formulas down. So just highlight those rows and just drag that down just so you get the formula in there. Now you will notice this goes from at the top here for those people, it goes from D to H. These are just some hidden columns in here. There's nothing fancy in there. It's just calculating when the first indoor sowing and outdoor sowing is, and when the harvest is, so it can work out this sow to harvest number for you. There's also a column here for you to tell you how many you've planted. And then once you've sown stuff in the ground, you can check this check box to say, well, whether it's been sown or not. So quite easily you can sort of say, well, actually in somewhere like March, beginning of, let's say this one here. So if you were looking for indoor and outdoor sowings, you can then quickly go down and see, well, actually these are all the ones I'm doing and which ones have currently been sown and which ones haven't. So I'll put I'll put a link down in their description for this spreadsheet if anybody wants to use it. If you got any queries, just drop me a comment or a message, and I'll try and help. And I just say I'll go back to the plants on here. So what this does here is another formula to say, well, actually, does this combined thing appear? So blackberries appears 3 times because we've got 3 rows of blackberries. Eskimo carrots appears 3 times because there's different, we've been putting some in there, moisturize, but I can see that things like all these other ones, which I'm still putting in, all the cucumber melon and the cucumber crystal apple and the early cucumbers, they're not in the plan at the moment, so I can quite easily see what I am. So that's the grow plan. As I say, I left the link in the description below so you can download a copy of that. If you've got any questions about it, just leave a comment down below and I'll answer those for you. But feel free to take it, use it, adjust it how you need, and follow me during the season as we get some of these plants and seeds to grow. Thanks for joining me, and see you again soon.